Well, hello, welcome to Waggish Travels, and today we're out and about. We are at Morwellham Quay, which is in the Tamar Valley. The Tamar Valley. I ironically live just around the corner, and I have done a nighttime walkabout from here, but today we're actually going to go on the mine train and have a look around the village itself. It's very quiet, but it is half term. There's a pumpkin patch, you know. Lisa is running off, so she's running off and with the kids. So, but I know we'll have a look round and you can tell us what you think. So. There we go. She is here. She's not done a runner.
Hello.
Hello. And this is the quay itself. And the Tamar is in over there, as you can see. It's a bit windy. We've even got Mother with us today. So. Right, the Copper Ore Cottage.
Touch it.
Real tiny.
It smells a bit. That's what the girls would have done instead of watching the telly. They would have done embroidery. No, it's not called knitting. It's called embroidery.
Oh look, they've even laid cakes on.
Yeah, that's what I said. They knew we were coming.
And there's a.
Tell Lewis he can't get down there.
What's that?
There's steps.
There's massive steep.
There's a few steps, so you
Come in this first bit.
You can come in this first bit.
They are steep steps. You can come in this bit.
Oh, Jesus Christ, that horse scared me.
Wait.
It's an old rocking horse.
There's an old
horse. Oh, there is. Oh, this is quite cool.
I can't tweet that. Help me.
Rocking horse.
Is it a rocking
For
horse?
another 150 years.
I must be really old because I had a rocking horse like that.
This bit's 150 years old.
Why is there a soldier in there?
That pillow looks like it's
There. Over there. Where the windowsill.
Did you have a rocking horse like this?
See?
I did have a rocking horse.
I can't see.
I'm going to take you this is the master bedroom.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so this is.
Where?
This smells damp because it would be damp because there's stone walls. Right, so my son has just pointed out that in 1979, if I step backwards down here, that was the flood level in the house. So the Tamar actually came up that far. So let's go downstairs and have a look. Won't be a second. Let's go downstairs and have a look.
Not possible.
Luke, could you be walking down, please?
I can't.
I'm recording, please.
I can't.
You can stay with Nanny, Lisa. We'll stay up here with Nanny and then go down there.
Wow. So the So it flooded in 1979. It flowed up to there.
Look, there's a painting of something. There's a picture
Oh
of
my
something.
gosh. Please,
If you be quiet, you can hear music.
This is probably the Sayers cottage. No, it's. There's music next door. I can hear the blacksmith. Yeah. So this is the Sayers, the minor Sayers. How did you get in there?
I come through this door. You did.
Are you allowed?
yeah, this is where the music comes from.
laboratory.
Welcome to the Assayers Laboratory. The assayer at Morwellham was a man named James Medlin. As well as being the assayer, he was also the wharfinger, or harbour master. In the cottage next door, he would entertain ship's captains and negotiate the sale of the copper ore. James earned around £200 per year and worked at Morwellham for 54 years. He undertook a process of assaying called the dry method. Here's how it works. Before it can be sold, the copper ore needs to be valued. Its value depends on assessing how much copper it contains, a job which falls to the Quay's assayer.
Oh, that's Ruth.
So that's really the bit that we want to test. So what we need to do is what is known as assay this.
Right.
And the whole process in here is to try and extract the copper from the copper ore, see what percentage of copper we can get from it, and then we know just how good the ore is itself.
Right.
Assaying was a crucial job because it determined the percentage of copper in the ore. If it contained less than 5%, it wasn't worth extracting. First, the assayer weighs out exactly 20 grams of crushed ore.
To that, we've got to add some chemicals,
20 grams?
which are known as
I don't think it would have been
fluxes.
grams, would it?
Just the same way as you have
No, I'm
flux
guessing
when
it
you're
is.
soldering, which allows the metal to run. We have these chemicals
That's
which
on
are
this
exactly
table.
the same to allow the metals to separate out from the rock.
And
Right.
the little thing up there at the top with all the
We
little
can now
things
place the
there.
crucible into the furnace. Then we need to put the lid back on the top there. And we can get the drawer there underneath the furnace to get it up to temperature because we need to get this above 1,000 degrees.
At this temperature, the copper melts, allowing it to flow out of the rock.
We've got it nice and hot now.
It heats into 1083.4 degrees.
And now I can touch it, and what you can see now is I've got this big lump of stuff here, which is called slag.
Yeah.
I can throw that away.
Right.
I can then measure my small bead of copper. It's now very, very tiny.
Yeah.
The 20 grams of ore contains just 1 gram of copper.
That would be 1/20th, which is 5%. So, and that would be the grade of the copper ore.
Right.
And because there then was a standard price for copper ore, then I would sell it on the basis of 5%.
Ah, cask and barrel.
On my work is then looped over the splayed end and drawn
This is very
tight by
clever,
a
this is.
hand-operated
Wow.
windlass.
Yeah.
Need some help. Over a small fire of oak shavings, the inside of the cask is charred or glazed. This removes any acidity in the timber and seals the pores of the wood. It's a tricky operation. Too much and the ochre-blackened cask becomes a write-off, but too little and the preserved
Oh. Oh, there's a blacksmith.
There's a coffin in there.
This is what carries the coffee. Pat.
See what this gentleman's doing? He's heating up metal. And all these things you see here have all been made on the door. They've been made through heating the metal.
What's that? Is that like a horn?
Yeah, you could put something in there. It's okay.
Oh, what's that?
That's a big water wheel.
Yeah, I guess at some point that had to feed in. Right,
That's frowning.
she's frowning.
It's cold.
Right, normal service. Look, she is here.
Hello.
Hello. So we've got the kids. I've got my kids, and this woman is. She's
Well, here's
brilliant.
one. Here's one. Here's
Here's
one.
one,
Here's
look.
one we made earlier. Well, not us actually.
No,
That's
but-
not true.
That's not true, but this one's as mad as a March chair. A bit cockeyed with the camera.
Say hello.
Say hello. Say hello to everyone.
Hello. Right, we're going in here.
And we're going in here. You coming in? Oh, look at that. Mooring and key dues. 2 and 6 per week. 3 pennies per ton of cargo. Health and safety.
Health and safety gone mad.
Look.
Yeah.
Is that it?
I thought they used to have like a car.
No, I think this would have been there. This is just a big hall, isn't it?
Yeah. So we've got some prospectors. Alright.
There's gold in here,
You've got a leaf. I don't suppose they've left any gold in here, do you?
Yeah, you've got too much sand in there, so you need a tiny, tiny little bit. Alright.
There's gold in it.
Oh,
Whoa, thanks.
so swirl it round.
You split it
Pour a little
round.
bit away with the water as you go along.
I got gold.
What have you got? What have you got? Show
Come on,
us.
I've got cold hands.
I think.
That's about as close as I'm going to get.
Alright.
Look at that. It's like little.
None.
No, I don't.
I got sand.
Sand, well done.
So this is the pottery, the shop, the grocers, and the shipping. There's a golf cart there to take mother to the mine. Oh, that's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, you see the water flowing underneath. Or you can hear the water. Hear the water flowing underneath. Right, so absolutely brilliant stuff now is that Mother, Lewis and PK are going, no, we're going straight up there and round to the right. They're going up on the golf buggy. Mind out, golf buggy's coming up.
What's up here?
No, we're going this way.
What's up here? Can we go that way back?
So, there you go. Hey. Electric vehicles, I love them. This is the Jordan Charlotte mine, if I remember correctly.
It does say.
Does it?
The river looks really nice. Tavistock Canal comes to here, and I used to walk the dog along the Tavistock Canal.
Did you?
Yeah, every day. Well, I lived in Tavistock.
So, not bad for a Sunday, is it?
Not bad seeing it was emptying down the road.
Shh.
You're
Right.
taking a claustrophobic woman in a cage into a mountain.
Right.
So, right, here we go.
Okay, so we're going underground, and for anyone that doesn't remember, Wookiee Hole. That's your hole.
And now I'm in a cage.
And now she's in a cage, and we're going underground. So, for the 33,000 odd people that are going to watch this,
Well, I feel sick.
she feels
very dry.
she's nervous. This could be fun. On the plus side, I'm about 5 minutes from station, so if she does cark out, well. Right. We're going to be going in.
Oh yeah, and we might get wet.
And we might get wet.
Better, isn't it? 'Cause it's quite-
Excellent. Right.
Yeah.
Ready?
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
There we go.
Hat on, look.
Oh, look, so there you go, look. So our guide there is he's got don't be nervous, Johnny. Okay, look, no, all the kids are really happy. Right, so we're going in.
First, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to the George and Charlotte mine. Now, my name's Rick. Hello, Rick.
Hello, Rick.
Now, before we head down to the mine, there are one or two things that you guys need to know. This is just stuff to keep yourselves nice and safe. First, all the time we're on the train, arms, legs, hands, feet and fingers well inside the cages, please. We're going very, very close to some rock walls, and if you poke your fingers out, bad things are going to happen. So please, 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 fingers well inside. If you're in charge of dogs, small children or husbands, can you please keep them on tight leads? Second, also very important, cameras. If you've got a camera, you are welcome to use it in the mine. The only thing I am going to ask is make sure that your flash is turned off. Apart from being really annoying for everyone on the train if we've got flashes and focusing lights popping off the whole time. Flash goes off in my eyes, I can't see to drive the train. That is not a good thing. But apart from that, enjoy. Rick to Mel, just waiting on heading down with the 12:30.
It's a mine train.
My butt's a bit
Are we ready?
Are we ready?
Don't look so worried, it's fun.
It's fun, honestly. It's absolutely amazing. Oh, we're moving. okay?
Are you getting close enough to the camera?
You okay?
Oh yeah, I'm loving it. I like feeling sick.
You right, Mother? Mother? She can't. There's an old wine shop closed, so this is starting to go past.
I just saw some lights. Yeah, I just saw some lights. That means there's another train.
Just outside the George and Charlotte. Before we go in, I'll tell you a little bit about it. Now, the mine was named after King George III of England and his wife, Queen Charlotte. Started work around about 300 years ago. It was certainly in operation 1718 when it's working under the name Providence, and it worked intermittently until final closure in 1868. Now, in common with most tin, copper, lead, silver, gold mines, so most metal mines, this mine was working a near vertical vein or lode. That's L-O-D-E of ore, in this case copper. So if you can imagine a strip of copper ore varying in width maybe a couple of inches up to about 3 or 4 feet, running more or less vertically down through the hillside, down through where we're sitting, down below our feet and heading back into the hill for about 1/2 to 3/4 of a mile. That was the load. So that's what the miners are after. Now, to reach the load, to reach the vein, the miners had to drive a series of horizontal tunnels into the hill. These horizontal tunnels are called levels, and this mine was worked on 8 levels. So what we've got 3 levels above us, so 1, 2, 3. This level here called Deep Adit, that's where we're going in a moment, and then we've got 4 more levels, 4 more tunnels below us. 1 below each other at roughly 60 foot, 20 metre vertical intervals. They're all heading back into the hillside, all following the load. Now the 4 levels below us, apart from working back into the hill, also worked out under the River Tamar here towards Cornwall on the opposite bank. So this is Devon, that's Cornwall. Or as an alternative, this is England. That's Cornwall. Now that one does depend on your own perspectives. Although for what it's worth, I come from that side of the river. Draw your own conclusions. Now the mine is about 850 feet from top to bottom. And to put that into some sort of context for you, you see that bent chimney stack up on the hillside? Top of the stack down to the river is about 400 feet. So this mine is twice that in depth. Now to get down through the mine, the miners had to sink a series of vertical or near vertical shafts along the course of the load. Now in this mine we've got 7 or 8 shafts, all of which would have been used for ventilation, so allowing air to circulate through the mine workings. Likewise, all of the shafts would have been used for access. They would have had wooden ladders running down them. That's how the miners are getting up and down between levels, in and out from surface. So there aren't any lifts or cages or anything like that. Some of the shafts are used for hoisting ore up to surface, whilst others were used for pumping water out of the mine. And pumping really is key to understanding this sort of mining. You remember we got those 4 levels below us?
Yeah.
Yes, Rick, we do.
Yes, Rick, we do.
Excellent. Now, those 4 levels, I like it when make sure everyone's awake at this point. See, now the 4 levels below us, they lie below the valley floor. So any water that gets into them can't drain away. It has to be pumped out mechanically. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, Rick, it does.
Excellent. You're getting the hang of this. So what the miners did, they put a great big set of pumps in one of the shafts. To drive the pumps, you've got a couple of options. You can either use a steam engine to drive the pumps. In fact, if you venture into darkest Cornwall, you'll see the landscape dotted with ruined engine houses. You familiar with those?
Yeah.
They contain steam pumping engines. As an alternative, and as was more common here in the Tamar Valley, you could use a water wheel to drive your pumps. And we'll see one in a moment when we go underground. Before we do, though, just a final reminder, fingers inside cages, please.
Oh my God.
People, will you tell this young lady that we're not going to go down 1,000,000 levels? Honestly, you're going to be fine. Right? You'll be fine.
The doggy doesn't know where he's going. How do you know the doggy's not scared?
How are we gonna get back to the place we
He's now underground.
through the middle of the mine's main pumping shaft. When we're in the shaft, look up. You'll see daylight up above you. It'll give you some idea how far we are below surface. Probably worth mentioning that whilst we're in the shaft, you're sitting directly above a 300-foot drop. So hopefully nobody's got a problem with heights. Far side of the shaft, water wheel. That's there to drive the pumps in the shaft. Welcome to the staff canteen. Young lad on the bench. Now he would have started work on the mine 7, 8 years old. Now that sort of age, he's a little bit too small to be working underground. So he'd be working outside, up on the surface, up on the mine's ore dressing floors. He'd be busy breaking and sorting or dressing the rock that's coming out the mine. Now when he's a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, so maybe 10, 11, 12, he would be underground. 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. Now in Devon and Cornwall, as far as we know, women and girls never worked underground. That said, they wouldn't have escaped altogether. They would have started work like the boys, 7, 8 years old. Like the boys, they'd be working up on the surface, on the ore dressing floors, breaking and sorting rock. However, unlike the boys, the women and girls would spend their whole working lives up there. They had a special name. They were called Bal Maidens. Bal, B-A-L, Cornish word, it means mine. Right, what we're going to do now, we're going to push on a little bit deeper. We're going to find out what the miners are doing down here. How they're breaking rock, driving tunnels, and ultimately, of course, how they're extracting the copper ore. It's all very exciting. I'm excited and I've done it several times already. So, oh. well, we've now travelled deep into the George and Charlotte. We've come through a tunnel dug through solid rock. Now, by my reckoning, this tunnel in parts is 200, maybe even 300 years old. Now, 200 years ago, miners did not have machines to help them dig tunnels. Compressed air rock drills, like this one on my right, they didn't make an appearance in the southwest until the late 1860s. In other words, about the sort of time this mine shut. So without machines to help you, how do you... I've gone into the school talk, I do apologise. So without machines, how were the miners... I'm back on track. How were the miners able to tunnel through solid rock? Well, fortunately, the one thing they did have was gunpowder. Now, gunpowder was introduced into mining in the southwest 1689. So by the time this mine opens in 1718, its use is fairly well known and fairly widespread. Now, to break rock using gunpowder, you have to get the gunpowder deep inside the rock. That means drilling a hole. But as I said a moment ago, no machines. You want to put a hole in a rock face, you are drilling by hand with some pretty basic hand tools. In fact, if you look over towards me, this is what the miners are using as a drill, if you can see that. It's an iron bar sharpened to a chisel point. It's called a borer. As the name suggests, it is used for drilling or boring holes in the rock. Now, to give you some idea of how the miners would use a tool like this, you need to look up into the roof at either end of the train. Candlelight, so no electric light, and they would spend the majority of their 8-hour shift every day just drilling by hand. We're going to give it a quick go, if you look over towards me for a mo. So it's a case of hit, turn, hit, turn. We'll give it a crack. We'll see how we get on. So it's hit, turn. So I am genuinely boring a hole in the rock here. There's none of your Disneyland fakery going on. Mainly because we can't afford it. Or we can afford idiot with a hammer. Yes, Rick?
Yes, Rick.
See, join in now. You get the gist. You do that for 5, maybe 6 hours. A, you'll know the true meaning of the word boring. But B, you're going to end up with a hole in the rock about 3 foot a metre deep. Now, once you've got your hole, you partially fill it with gunpowder. You then stick a fuse in it. Bear in mind, up until the 1830s, miners are making their own fuses, which must have been incredibly dangerous. Pack it all tight with clay, you light the fuse, you run. That is important. Fuse burns down, sets off the powder. The powder explodes and breaks the rock. Now, if you do that again and again and again, you can drive a tunnel very similar to this one through the hill, along the course of the lode, opening up the ore body. Right, what we're going to do now, we're going to bimble gently out of the mine. We're going to find out what happened to the copper ore once the miners had blasted it out of the rock. Anyway, you enjoying yourselves so far?
Yes, Rick.
Super. I'm having fun. Then again, I get to drive the train.
until you're closer to the surface because of the greenery.
Feels like you're driving a car going over 1,000 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Right, now once the miners had blasted the copper ore out of the rock, they would load the ore into wheelbarrows, because there weren't any railways underground when this mine was working. And they'd wheel the ore to the nearest hoisting shaft. At the shaft, the ore would be loaded into great big egg-shaped iron buckets called kibbles and hoisted up the shaft to surface. Now at surface, about 100 feet or so above where we are, there is a terrace cut into the hillside. That is the dressing floor, that is where the ore is being processed. So what's going on up there, the rock that's coming out the mine is broken up and sorted. The waste rock is just tipped on the hillside above us. So these slopes above the train, they are covered in mine waste. The good copper ore, on the other hand, is loaded into carts, loaded into wagons, taken by road down to the quays at Morwellham. At Morwellham, the ore is loaded onto ships, and they sail off down the River Tamar, along the Cornish coast, around Land's End, and up to Swansea in South Wales, where the ore was smelted. Now, the reason that we're taking the ore all the way up to South Wales, which is a long, dangerous journey, comes down to one thing: coal. We don't have any coal worth speaking of down here in the southwest, and you need an awful lot of coal to smelt copper. Looking at about 4 tons of coal to smelt 1 ton of ore. And when you think that 1 ton of copper ore is only going to yield about 5% metal, you can see how the economics work. Anyway, that wraps up what I want to say. Has anyone got any questions, any queries? Is there anything that you'd like to know? Stunned silence. Okie dokie. In that case, what I'm going to do, I'm going to hop on board my little choo-choo. It's a technical term. I'm going to head back to the station. You got a question? They sold it, mainly to the Americans. Exactly, they sold it. Yeah, I mean, over half the world's arsenic was coming out of the Tamar Valley. Actually, one thing, if you're not aware, apart from producing copper, a lot of mines around here started producing arsenic. So, back in the 1860s, the price of copper crashes. This is largely due to new mines opening abroad. I think I've already mentioned, no, I haven't actually, mines like in places like North America, South Australia. The really big producer was Chile, and that flooded the market with cheap copper ore, with the result that a lot of the more marginal copper mines right across the southwest, including the George and Charlotte, shut. Now, some mines did survive the copper crash of the 1860s. They survived by diversifying, by producing other minerals, most notably arsenic. Now, arsenic occurs in conjunction with the copper. As mined, it is pretty much harmless. To turn it into the poisonous arsenic trioxide, which is used for things like pesticides, insecticides and also products like dyes, you have to roast it. That's a process called calcining, and that is what that bent chimney stack up on the hillside is for. So that stack up there is part of an arsenic refinery. We had several arsenic refineries here in the Tamar Valley. In fact, we had the biggest arsenic refinery in the world, about 3 miles upriver, at a mine called Devon Great Consols. Now, Devon Great Consols starts work as a copper mine in 1844. By the 1850s, it is the biggest copper producer in the world. 1870s, the mine has completely reinvented itself as an arsenic producer. And up until closure in 1902, it was the biggest arsenic producer in the world. It was reckoned at the time that there was enough refined arsenic up at Devon Great Consols to kill every living creature on the planet, which is a nice cheery thing. So that's what's happening with the arsenic. We're flogging it to everyone. Okie doke. Anyway, any other questions? Do you have a question?
Yeah.
What's your question? Some people died in the mine. We only know of one person who died in this mine. That was a miner called John Fuge. He was killed here in a rockfall in 1866, leaving a wife and 3 children. And on that cheerful note, I'll take you back to the station. So it just remains for me to thank you all for listening. Thank you so much for coming to see us. It really is appreciated. I hope you've all enjoyed yourselves.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Rick. You're welcome.
Lovely.
Was it? Doing what?
Do you have to get so close?
I'm not getting close. You don't normally complain when we're doing our videos and they get close.
You don't need to film it, you've already filmed it. We're just coming back, see?
Just play it every minute.
We nearly got splashed. Bye-bye, PK and Lewis and Nanny.
Right, that was the mine train. Rick was very vocal. And now the chocolate experience and toilets. Toilet. The brewery, the bakery.
Let's have a look at the bakery.
Lewis, if you go backwards.
Sorry, Nan. Didn't have much
Smells of bread.
You would, it's a bakery.
Huh?
Barley and oats.
What's it?
Don't touch it.
But it wasn't until a few centuries later, during the Norman conquest, that wheat entered the mainstream, along with a newfound popularity for baking with yeast to make leavened bread. The Normans were prolific beer makers and therefore had plentiful supplies of yeast.
So which is the right way round? Cream on
Was
first,
established.
jam on first.
English bread was generally made of mixed grains until well into the Victorian.
So please feel free to comment below. Right, so mine train and bakery, and in the corner a brewery. I think there's also a ship we can go on, so we'll go and have a look around that as well. But the mine train, I for some reason I didn't actually turn the camera on. I thought it was recording, it wasn't. In certain places, so you might have missed the water wheel, and if you have, I'm sorry. Yeah, we're going to go and have a look around the ship, and we're going to get something to eat in the ship inn. So come along and join us. So when the children are not behaving themselves, what you do is you put them in here,
And they can't get out.
and they can't get out. And you've got horseshoe tossing. Rope making, they got rope.
The red thing.
I mean, if I've got my own time, then.
No,
Just throw the ball. Throw the ball at him. Oh! Shall have another go. Roll it back to her. Come on then, Fran. Right, look.
There you go.
Stand there.
Give me a minute.
No. Now roll the ball. Oh, you've gone the other side.
Can I have a try? Like,
Please, may I have a try?
A minute.
Not yet, Patrick.
Right, hold the ball. Hold the ball. Right. You ready?
yeah.
Right. Oh, this is not one.
Hey. Well, you only got the bowl in.
Maybe.
Have a go, Cheska.
What about little boy?
Right. Well. Sorry. Today's been good. We have had a good look around absolutely everywhere. We've done the chocolate making experience. We've done baking rolls together, bread making in the bakery. We've seen the blacksmith at work, and we've been into school where I got told off. So I think we got some pictures of me being told off, which could be funny. Anyway, I'm going to go and see if our bread rolls are ready. So watch this space. Right, we've been into the shop, and we made rolls. I actually made a miniature cottage loaf, but the top fell off.
If Lisa's cat has.
And Lisa's made a cat.
That's
But there you go. Right, we're going off down to the farm now, so let's go have a look. Right, so
We've got bread.
we've
Put this in.
this is the school. It's just behind us. These, I think, are the lime kilns. Yeah. So there's the lime kilns. I think you can actually walk into the lime kilns.
Yeah, let's do it.
We'll have a look in the lime kilns in a minute. That is the River Tamar. And the other side of the River Tamar is Cornwall. At the moment we're in England. And if anyone's interested, I have some footage of myself about 5 years ago in my amphibious car on the River Tamar, which I will try and put a link to. Yeah, that might be if you're interested. There is the hydroelectric power station. Again, I have done I've done a little short clip on that, and I shall put a link to that in there. We'll go and have a look. I think you can actually get in there now, so we're going to have a look at that as well. But this is the farm. Oh look! Oh look! Oh look! Oh, you're from Edwardian Farm. Yeah. Okay. And here is a. Could you stop that a second for me?
Lisa said to get them on the way back.
Okay, I didn't have the shop closed, but we've got. Oh look!
Be careful then.
Oh look!
Neighbour.
Hello. We have a cow. We have a calf even. Oh look. So what do we got here?
Daddy, it's stumping.
Oh.
Somebody else is going to take those.
No. So, look. I found a horse. Oh. What? Oh. Look. You're on the television again. This horse is off of Edwardian Farm, aren't you? I think your name's Laddie, isn't it? Yeah, so anyway, the horse. Wrong button. The horse had been on Edwardian Farm. So, anyway, we're going to go and have a look at the hydro power station. Right. In here is Ruth's cottage. There's Ruth's cottage in here. Right, this is Ruth's cottage. And this is upstairs at Ruth's cottage.
Yeah. What do you reckon that is in there?
You mustn't touch them. Right. You've been very scarce in the video today.
That's because I've been looking at stuff.
Right.
Whereas you've been filming stuff.
So we're going to go and have a look.
House up there. I just don't know how you get to it with your shopping.
I've got no idea. So,
Actually do home delivery.
so we are going to go and have a look in the Hydro Visitors Centre. And Lisa is over the moon about it. So, for those of you that haven't seen the film, about, or must be over 4 years ago, I actually came here one evening when I was doing a bit of work for Southwest Water. Did a bit of videoing. But in here, we are entering the Hydroelectric power station. So there you go, the Hydro Visitors Centre. So, if you have a look here, you can actually see it working. Right, kids, where you push buttons, if you see that that wheel is turning, okay, that is water turning the turbines.
Yeah, look, it's even got water turning it here. It's actually got a demonstration.
There we go, or apparently there's a demonstration. So,
Can we go in there, Dad?
that's it.
Where do we want to go?
River TV?
There we go.
River TV is right there. Where do we want to go?
Estimation of 40 lakes and reservoirs in the region of the southwest. Also that the renewable activities, and also the continual activities of these sites. Hoping that you appreciate appreciate your visit, and that you although that says profit, it's not really how we would say it, of the different attractions or the different interactive, what they're doing down there, I'm assuming, activities. There we go.
So, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Just been translated from you all that wonderful French, because this lady can do French, I can't. However, for those of us who can't do French, we look above us in English.
Alright.
But well done you.
Okay.
Right.
Where they let the horse out then, did she say?
I think the horse walks back up.
To where? Yeah, I heard that bit, I'm just wondering where.
I've got no idea. So, the lady's just told us that Laddie the horse and Truffle the goat are best friends. The lady that we all thought was a school teacher does in fact also do the chocolate making and the bread making, and scared the living daylights out of Lisa. It was so funny, wasn't it?
I'll take Bring round to the lonely lady abandoned.
Oh look, we've left the little old lady abandoned now, look.
Right. Who's going to go? We have to wheel there. Well, there's something quite wrong about this wheel, isn't there? Because, yeah, they put the shed in front of it.
Right, well in actual fact,
So you can't see where you're going.
right, so you won't see where you're going that way because that's the stern.
Why is the wheel there then?
Because when you control the boat, you're at the stern of the boat and you stand here like this, as you would with any sailing boat.
You're looking quite gay like that.
I am
Oh, ducky.
So, anyway, there you
I
go.
think you're a teapot, honestly. There's quite a long way down there, look. That's
Yeah, but there's holes.
holes.
So
Yeah.
What do you mean holes?
Look, I can see the sea.
No, you can't, I don't think,
You
because the
can.
sea's moving.
No, he is right. There is actually a hole there in
There's
the hull.
two.
So,
Echo.
So how comes we
Echo.
don't sink then?
because this is set in very low dock,
What's that?
so it's not. Even though the tide is, I think, fully in. Yeah, the tide is fully in. This is practically beached. So the boat is actually beached.
So it's not supposed to have those holes?
No.
Right, that won't be. Bit like this hole here though.
What hole? Where? No. That's meant to be there.
That would be where they would chuck out an anchor.
No, it wouldn't. That would be when the water
That'd be where
splashes
they would
over the
chuck out
deck. That's how the water goes out of the deck.
Oh, right.
That's
okay.
where they would chuck out the
Yeah,
water.
because there's like a closing bit.
Yeah.
And what are these things for then?
These are used to when they put the seam here. Look, they're going there.
Would you used to be able to get down?
Yeah, that's where the living quarters would be.
No, I mean.
No, it looks like a coal chute or something down there.
No, that's living quarters.
Oh, that doesn't look very living.
No, Dad seems to know an awful lot about this.
This is.
Take it from me. That's where you used to go below decks, and you would have had.
This is hard.
They would have had storage and.
It looks like we're moving. Look up. It looks like we're moving.
You'd have to climb all up there.
Yeah. So there you go. The boat.
What is
That's the mainsail, isn't it? That bit there.
What is it?
Oh, that's the mainsail there.
Dad,
Yeah.
what is this?
It's a cabin of, I don't know, it's some sort of pump. Could be a bilge pump, I don't know. Well, that was our day at Morwellham Quay. Really weird that it is literally 10 minutes from where I live. And the campsite we're stopping on is probably 5 minutes from where I live. But it's all, we're on holiday, which probably sounds really weird and really stupid to anyone that thinks, well, why have you come out of your home to go 5 minutes down the road? Well, 5 minutes down the road is not being in the house. So I can wholeheartedly suggest Morwellham Quay, and I hope that, like us, you enjoyed a visit here. As you know, anyone who knows my videos, I don't do a lot of editing. What you see is as I've filmed it, because there's no point in cutting out the bits where I've got soaking wet or the kids have fell over, or I might have used a little bit of bad language, or Lisa's dropped food down herself. But anyway, that was Morwellham Quay, as I say, worth a visit, and who knows where we'll end up tomorrow, but wherever we end up, come along and join us. Like, subscribe, comment below, and thank you for joining us. See you again next time.